we could go back and do Kyler JJ for another, 7 hours on the Vikings Collective, but unfortunately, duty calls in many other capacities. So I do want to segue a little bit to, for me, the other major development, I'll just say, from being out at training camp on Wednesday, and that was Caleb Banks. And Caleb Banks being, not only was he just like out on the field, but it was first team drills, and he's out there, in a stance next to Jalen Redmond. And when we talked to him after practice, he was obviously ecstatic to be back. I'll just start you with this. Like, what are your expectations for this first round pick? Who, it's pretty clear just watching him out on the field. The guy moves different and he's just massive. So yeah, what are your expectations?
If it's anything less than 15 sacks, it's a bust right away. No,
Thank you.
But so just looking at some recent performances of defensive tackles and how much they actually played as rookies, usually 400 to 500 snaps is where it ends up. Now, someone like Mason Graham, who's a top pick last year, he played the entire season and every single down. But for most everybody else, like the Kenneth Grants of the world, there is a development curve that goes along with this position. Now, where I'm most intrigued is that in college, you saw a lot of Caleb Banks lining up over the A gap to where centers and guards could just kind of double team him and get underneath his pads, and his height really worked against him. And then every once in a while he would get them and get a good get off and just throw someone and murder everything in front of him. But they're moving him out a little bit. And we even saw this today, that he's going to be 3 technique to maybe traditional 3-4 defensive end. Yeah. I think it gives him a little more space. I think it gives him opportunities to get more one-on-one type situations for him. So my expectation is that we have some games where you're like, did Caleb Banks play today? And other games you're like, oh my gosh. And that there's going to be some serious high-end reps from him. But I also think that Brian Flores will put him in favorable positions and will allow him also to just be a body mover at times. We know Flores loves to do this with DTs, sometimes to their chagrin, but like he likes to take a DT and say, just move that guard to the left as far as you possibly can, and Eric Wilson will get the sack. And I think when you look at his size and his power, that if he can do those things, and he has come across this way, is willing to kind of sacrifice himself at times to where maybe on the PFF grade and maybe on the sack total and maybe on the pressure total, we're like, he maybe had 1 pressure today. And then you go back and watch the film, as I know that you guys do, and you go, oh, I see. He was mauling this guy, and that's why Cashman had 2 sacks. That's why Metellus got a sack. So my expectation is that you want to keep him healthy. You want to keep him fresh. He has not played a real football season since 2024. So don't expect him to go out and play 60 snaps for you right away. You want to keep him fresh. But if it's like 25 to 30 a week over the entire season, he ends up with 4 or 5 sacks. We like most of the things that he's doing in terms of schematically. I think that's where to set the bar, that, the talk of it's boom or bust. It's like, actually, I don't think that about Caleb Banks. I think that his floor is set fairly high just by being that massive and quick. It's just where the ceiling is going to go could probably take 3 years to find out.
I thought it was pretty funny after practice. He talked, and he's an electric personality. He said he bought another spider. He got 3 more snakes. I think one of the reporters was like, "Are they locked up in the house?" He's like, "Yeah, you don't come over." It was highly entertaining stuff. But I asked him personally, like, what has Ryan Nielsen been like to play for? And he paused before answering, and he was like, what's the word? I don't know if he was about to use a word that he probably shouldn't have used on cameras that were about to circulate every comment. But there's no question that Ryan Nielsen, the new D-line coach, has a certain standard that I think for a guy like him, just having navigated the career in college that he did, I think that's going to be really productive for him. I personally, Garrett, and I'll be curious your thoughts. Like, I think there's part of me that doesn't want to go down the road of can he accomplish over a 17-game season? Like, for me, I just start with, can we get to the end of training camp? And this guy is proving that the consistency, the stamina, the relentlessness shows throughout that entire stretch. And if so, I with how much I know Brian Flores liked him, leading into the draft. Like I would imagine they'd want to use him. So Garrett, what did you feel about the pick? And then when you heard today that he's active and on the field, I imagine that was a pretty good feeling.
So I'm not going to lie. I was not a fan of the pick. There was, I went live for our pick, raw reaction, and it was not pretty. I thought we were going to take Dylan Thieneman, but now that I've had, a couple months to really digest the pick, by the way, my biggest concern was health related. It wasn't anything to do with Caleb Banks, the football player. It was, do we have a player that's actually going to be able to stay on the field for his rookie contract and a player that we could potentially see a second contract? But if we can assure that, which I hope with how much, how many resources the Vikings have, that everything is good on that end. This is going to be, or this should be a very fun player. But I think Matthew did a really great job of setting what the expectations should be in Caleb Banks' rookie season, because defensive tackles, and this also applies to interior offensive linemen as well, you go from playing 19, 20, 21-year-old guys every Saturday to playing guys like Dexter Lawrence on Sunday and guys like Chris Jones on Sunday, these big 27, 30-year-old grown men. And that also applies to, the interior offensive line for who Caleb Banks is going to be going up against with somebody like Joe Thuney of the Bears this year. If we can have the splash plays throughout camp, maybe he has one or two in the preseason, and then if we have a 25 to 30 pressure rookie season with, like Matthew said, maybe 3 to 5 sacks, I would be absolutely ecstatic with that in Caleb Banks' rookie season. And I really think that this year specifically should be viewed as a foundation, groundwork laid year for what him and especially Dominique Orange, our third-round pick, should be looking to accomplish in 2027.
Are you calling it year zero, Garrett? This is year zero for Caleb Banks.
I am. In a lot of ways it is, because we got to adjust. There's a big transition from, going up against Central Florida to Joe Thuney. And I think it's year zero.
Listen, as the resident SEC guy on the show, I'm not, if they played Alabama, they were in it. Okay. No, but you're right. The transition is going to be massive. All right. If you look on the crawl there, it's got pivotal roster questions. The production team at HMA has done a great job, Muvsy and the folks. But I want to use that last subject to kind of just go around the horn and give some opinions and react a little bit related to certain position groups on this roster. So I'll start with Coller. I'll start with you. What position group is on your mind? What opinion do you have about it? Just let it rip. This is what you do. We I know this.
Well, I'll start out with suddenly kind of interested in what happens at linebacker with Jamal Adams being part of the mix here, because this is a position that we've seen some guys as undrafted free agents make it and become special teamers. Or last year, Eric Wilson was supposed to be a special teamer, and then he turned out to be one of their most important linebackers. So Eric Wilson in year 2 with Brian Flores right from the jump. Blake Cashman, I think we know what he can do, but health has been suspect at times for Blake Cashman, who just plays like a maniac with his hair on fire and does suffer injuries sometimes. So is Jamal Adams really a part of this group? And we saw him today. He is big. He is a big guy. Like, you didn't have, he's wearing 54, but you didn't have to be like, oh, that's a safety wearing linebacker clothes. Like, no, he looked like a linebacker. He's probably, I would guess he's put on at least 10 pounds since he was really a safety. So is he actually a part of this? Is he going to play some kind of role that Flores carves out? Does Ivan Pace have any chance as somebody who was kind of a darling for this team in 2023? And then the guys behind them, the undrafted free agents, could somebody make that interesting? And I'll throw another guy that I talked to after practice today, Jake Golday. Where does he fit in? Is this somebody that they're going to try to get on the field pretty quickly? Because I think he has a great attitude and is a high IQ guy and versatile college. So this room is suddenly more intriguing than I would have said even like a couple of weeks ago.
The Jamal Adams, you said, he looks like safety or linebacker. I asked him, like, what do you expect? Where do you expect to play? He said, I can play safety, linebacker, corner, nose tackle, D end. I can walk your dog if you want me to. I was like, all right, that's welcome to Minnesota. Jamal. But it was really actually talking to him was really interesting. It seemed like he was really reflective on the very serious torn quad